Welcome to the very first episode of ESP Electric Scooter Podcast, starring your host, Dagwood.
That's me.
And featuring Kaylani.
Hi.
And Kira, which is me. Today's topic of the day is the rating
for the Electronic Scooter Guide and Alien Rides. Turns out today they both came out with new YouTube videos with their favorite scooters. In the case of ESG, it was all scooters. In the case of Alien Rides, they included PEVs. What did you think of those PEVs?
Well, I thought he was a bit picky with his ratings.
But that's a good thing, isn't it? Because you want him to be... Remember, he was choosing the absolute best of the best. So, handling, value for money, cool factor, he was looking at all those things. But as far as PEVs, I thought that one was strange, the one that looked like a laptop.
Oh, yeah, that was interesting.
It was called the Walk Car.
It's like a different version of the hoverboard.
Yeah, it kind of looked like a hoverboard with caster-type wheels or something. You pull it out of your backpack and set it on the ground, and off you go.
When I first saw it, I thought they were riding on a laptop. I was a little confused.
So we'll talk about that on this podcast and a couple other things like ESPN, which is...
Electric Scooter Podcast News.
We'll have a couple topics to discuss there, and then we'll just have our regular casual conversation and get some opinions from everyday riders. We're not experts. We're not a dealership. We're not guys that different companies are sending us scooters to evaluate. We own, between us, 5 scooters, maybe 6. So we're just everyday riders, and we noticed that there is no podcast for electric scooters. Now, there are podcasts for what they call scooters, like the little motorcycles, which I guess are mopeds, I would call.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
But some people call those scooters as well. So there was a couple of those. But when I go to sleep at night, I like to listen to a podcast, and my current hobby is scootering. So we decided we would kick off what, as far as I could find, was the world's very first electronic scooter podcast. I even sent an email to Electronic Scooter Guide, and I said, why don't you guys have a podcast? And you know how they answered me?
How?
Crickets.
Wow.
Nothing. So, I don't know. I know they're busy guys, and they got other stuff to do than answer plebeians like me. So, we just decided, hey, let's just make our own podcast. So that's what we're doing. So what do you want to get into first? You want to talk about the Electronic Scooter Guide and their opinions on the best scooters?
Yes.
Sounds like a good idea.
What were your impressions of the video in general?
It was very dramatic, had a lot of action, which I was not expecting.
Me either. It came on, and what was the first thing you saw? It was like a fight scene, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad, though, that they're stepping up and doing interesting things to keep us entertained instead of just spitting out numbers. But I'll tell you what, if you really want to find out the deets on specific scooters, how many miles you can get per charge, and how much they weigh, how foldable they are, and all that kind of thing, you want to go to the Electronic Scooter Guide. I got to catch myself. I keep saying Electronic Scooter Guide. It's
Yeah,
what's it actually called, Kira?
Electric Scooter Guide.
Electric Scooter Guide. I don't know why I said. What's the difference between electronic and electric? Same thing, right?
Not really sure.
But they call themselves electric, so I probably should too, right? So what else are we talking about tonight? Let's talk about some of the things we're going to talk about in the future. Accessories,
Why we ride.
which I think actually would be a good topic for tonight. We'll talk about why we ride, what we ride,
Where we ride.
scooters that we'd like to own.
Things we'd like on our scooters.
Yeah, there are some things that we'd like to see. You'd like to see turn signals, you said, right?
Yeah, blinkers.
Blinkers would be nice. Kehlani, didn't you say seats? You want a seat on the scooter?
Yeah, seats would be cool.
I think there's one out there. There's a couple of them out there. One of them is called the Fido. It's like Fiido or something, and that has a seat. lights are always an issue. Anyways, we'll talk about some of those things in future podcasts. And if you have any ideas that you'd like to hear us address on a podcast, then you can email your host, Dagwood Streets, at dagwoodstreets@gmail.com. Easy to remember, right?
Yeah.
Not too imaginative, but easy to remember. So let's get into it a little bit. We started talking a little bit about some of these best of the year videos. We also watched Alien Rides. What did you think about Alien Rides?
It was interesting.
He talks in kind of a monotone. He doesn't have all the panache of what they do over at the Electric Scooter Guide. Doesn't have a lot of backstories going on.
Yeah, it was very straightforward.
It was very straightforward. So very useful, too. But he didn't just talk about scooters. He did talk about PEVs, which I believe stands for Personal
Electric vehicles.
Electric vehicles, thank you. Personal electric vehicles. So there's a couple weird ones there. We're not going to get into that too much on this podcast, but I thought he did bring up a couple. That the three-wheeler was kind of cool, right?
Yes, it was. Looked like a lot of fun.
It was called the trike or something like that. And he seemed, you said he's picky, so he's a little bit tough on, the way he rates the different aspects of it. He rates it on cool factor and value and a lot of things. And he was a little rough on a lot of the scooters, but he loved the Ryan and he loved that trike. One of the things about the trike I thought was impressive. I think did he give it a 10 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10 in handling?
No, I don't think he did.
It was crazy though. I mean, that thing just it looks like it'll just fly over everything. But I guess he said that it was a little bit heavy, and he was also. The thing I didn't agree with Alien Rides was the looks, the way he rated them.
Yeah,
I thought some of the ones that looked really cool he rated kind of low, and the Ryan he gave 10 out of 10, which it is cool because it's carbon fiber and highly polished and all that. I don't know if it's a 10 out of 10, and it's like an $8,000 scooter.
it's very expensive.
But 80 miles per hour on that thing?
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's kind of the Tesla of scooters, if you will. It's the super high end. It's the best scooter in the world. If you got money that's burning a hole in your pockets and you love scooting, might want to check out the Ryan. That's RION. Ryan.
Today's topic, which is why we ride.
Oh. Everybody has different reasons for riding scooters. My reason is it's not commuting. It's not getting back and forth to work. It's not to save the planet. I like off-road scooting. What about you, Kara? Why do you ride?
I ride because I think it's something to just do, It's very fun.
Kind of breaks the monotony up, doesn't it? A little bit. It's chilly outside, and there's not that many places to go. Places are closed. You can just pop on the scooter and cruise around a little bit. How about you, Kehlani? Why do you ride?
I think it's a good replacement if you can't drive and you just need to get somewhere. And it's nice because you can feel like the wind through your hair, or no hair in your case. But
I'm bald. But I do have a beard. So that if you were to take, this is a little sidebar, but if you were to take the amount of hair I have and the amount of follicles, since I have them along the side of my head and my sideburns, this part here and my beard, I just have the same amount of hair as everybody else, I'd say.
I guess that's a good way to think about it.
But that's a good point, is even like me, for example, I do off-roading. I have a Wolf Warrior, and it's primarily aimed at off-road. You have a choice when you order the scooter of whether to get street tires, which everybody recommends. Get the street tires, because they can do kind of good off-road, but they're great on the street. Or you can get the off-road knobby tires, which I opted for. And they said that they find 80% of people get the street tires and 20% get the off-road. I got news for you. I like the off-road tires. I really, really like them. They have a cool sound. You ever hear me like when I whiz by?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Those knobby tires, man. Because scooters have like a hum or a buzz or, that kind of electronic sound. And the knobby tires on the street have a cool sound. And you notice I like to get kick up the little rooster tails. I can slide out the rear tire.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of fun, too. I like doing that. You probably lose a little traction on the street, and you don't get as far per charge if you're mainly on the street. But I think I'm about 60% off-road and 40% on the street. But getting back to what you were saying, Kaylani, of having the flexibility to pop to the corner store and get something, Hey, we need saran wrap. We're out. Hey, raise your hand. I'll do it. And get your backpack and head out to the corner store. And which brings up an issue I'd like to talk about a little bit, and that is keys. Because we saw in some of the videos, Kira, you noticed, ooh, look, it's got keys. You said that like it's a good thing, right?
Well, I thought it was kind of cool. People can't steal your scooters.
Except they can. Here's what they do, because all they need to do is pick it up, throw it in the back of a truck, and then figure out the ignition later. I'm sure it's not as complicated as a car. And what I'm thinking is it's one more thing to get lost. For one thing, it's jangling as you're riding. It's flopping around. And the other thing is, what if you're so stoked you're getting ready to jump on your scooter and go somewhere and you're like, oh, man, where's my key? You're probably just going to leave it in there all the time anyway, right? It's not going to stop anybody from stealing it. What you need is a U-lock or a U-bolt lock, like New York lock or a kryptonite lock. That's what you need. But the best answer is what they do in Taiwan with bicycles and other countries of the world. Nobody owns a lock. When I was in Taiwan, I bought this really high-end bicycle. And I locked it up I had a good lock and everything. I locked it up to a metal staircase. And I went into a restaurant to get something to eat. I came out, it was gone. Everybody's like, what is wrong? I was like, I locked it up really good. They're like, locks don't stop anybody. Here's what they do in Taiwan. When you go to the store, you take your bicycle with you. People will walk up and down the aisles with their bicycle, putting their food in their cart.
That's exactly what me and Kira do when we go to the store with our scooters.
Perfect. And you can even use the bags and hang them off the handlebars, right? Instead of carrying it, you just walk around.
Imagine trying to run away from somebody who's chasing you, and you have to stick your key in and figure it all out.
Like somebody trying to steal your potatoes.
You're like one of those horror movie scenes where they can't figure out their car.
Yeah, they're chasing you, and all of a sudden you just hop on your scooter, screaming at the top of your lungs, "Tater thief! Tater thief! Stop him!" Yeah, and you pull away, because I don't think people can run 20. Your scooters go like 25 miles an hour,
yeah,
right?
25.
Yeah, 25 miles. You're not going to have Usain Bolt stealing your potatoes, so you're probably safe there. So I think that's the answer. Or the other way is I would find cafes and restaurants where you sit outside, and that way you keep your scooter, your bicycle with you while you're eating.
Oh, yeah.
And you can just take it in. Hopefully you have a scooter that when you walk away, you look back at it and kind of go, "Hey, that's kind of cool." If your scooter makes you turn back, you can stare at it as you're eating your hamburger or pizza or whatever you've ordered. That's kind of a neat thing.
Keep an eye on it.
Yeah, exactly. Keep an eye on it. So I think that's the answer to scooters. I don't think keys are the answer. I have so many keys. I don't want to add to my collection. So, topic of the day was some of these best of lists. It Was there anything else that popped out to you guys that you thought was cool or you thought was horrible? Oh, you saw the M365, the Xiaomi.
Oh, yes.
That's the scooter that we actually own.
Or similar.
I've heard that something like 40 to 50% of scooters worldwide are made by Xiaomi. It is like the most popular scooter.
Wow.
They also, there's a lot of variants. There are companies to take the Xiaomi, buy the different parts from the Xiaomi company, which, by the way, it's pronounced Xiaomi. That is a Chinese word. Xiao is pronounced Xiao. The X is like an SY. MI is pronounced me, so it's Xiaomi. For all those wondering, I've heard it mispronounced. I've heard even Cabo, which is not a Chinese word, but the Cabo Wolf Warrior, Kaabo. I've heard Cabo. I've heard Cabo.
Cabo.
So that one I'm not really sure. I'm guessing it's Cabo.
It's like ukulele.
Yeah, it's too like ukulele. Yeah, another pet peeve. It's not ukulele.
It's ukulele.
Because it's two words, right? What does uku mean?
Jumping.
Yeah, jumping bugs. It
Yeah,
could be
jumping
fleas
bugs.
or whatever. It could be lice. Kailangan get the ukus. Kailangan get the ukus. That's if you get head lice. But lele is actually the word for jumping. Uku is the bug. So ukulele is a jumping bug. So it's from the finger picking style, the ukulele. Okay, that's quite a sidebar. We're talking about scooters here, aren't we? But it's just one of those pet peeves of, you know, people trying to say Xiaomi or trying to say Kabu. People seem to be able to pronounce Wolf Warrior pretty well.
Wow.
You know what I found out today, though, that was, I don't know if it's disturbing, but Wolf Warrior happens to be a string of movies. What do you call that? A franchise? Just like there's all these... what are the same movies that they keep doing over and over?
Series of movies?
Yeah, like a series of movies. Like, for example, Indiana Jones, they had 3 or 4. What's another movie? Jurassic Park. Yeah. They have a bunch of movies in the People's Republic of China. Wolf Warrior 1. I don't know, the other ones, Beneath the Planet of Wolf Warrior, Return to Wolf Warrior, Wolf Warrior Buys a Donut. I don't know, but there's a bunch of them. And they're very pro-People's Republic of China military propaganda, which, you know, hey, if you're into that kind of thing, check it out. Check out the movies. Wolf Warrior. I was just Googling, looking for the scooter, and that's what came up. A bunch of, we shall kill those filthy terrorists. What else did we notice from the list? Was there anything cool on there that I noticed on the electric scooter guide? It seemed like I don't want to pick on those guys because they're so good, and I definitely recommend you watch their YouTube channel. But the audio was a little bit not great.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Couple parts. Some of it we called before they even said anything, right? Like when they said best scooter photographer, we all shouted out like, Philippines!
Yeah.
We know it's going to be a Filipino for sure. Highlight for me, Wolf Warrior took 2 awards. Not even mentioned by Alien.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was interesting that the Alien rates didn't put it in.
Yeah, they didn't not even a mention. But for Electric Scooter Guide, they had it, what was it, baddest scooter on the planet, and the other one I think was best dual motor scooter. Do you guys know the difference between a dual motor and single motor? I mean, besides the obvious, a dual motor has 2, right?
Yeah, a single motor is lighter and it's cheaper.
So those are 2 big advantages right there. Dual motor, Kira, what would you think?
Well, dual motor is, heavier and more expensive, but it is also more...
you get more traction.
Yeah.
I took it, I have a video, I haven't put it out yet, but I'm going to simultaneously release this podcast, probably with a couple videos to the public. And I was in some deep talcum powder like soil. And I didn't know. It was literally my first or second ride on the Woof. I call it the Zombie Woof. It was my first or second ride on the Zombie Woof, and I just sunk into this talcum powder. Later on, when I hit the right button, and put it in dual motor mode, wow, what a difference. You'll just cruise right through that stuff. And I got to tell you, riding that thing is a lot of fun. The other thing that people might not think about with dual motors is if you're going long distance, you want to go in dual motor mode, because if you do only one motor, then I've heard of people overheating their batteries and just having issues because of using one motor. So if you go long distance and you're on a dual motor vehicle, definitely make sure you click it into dual motor mode. And now it's that part of the show, ESPN, Electric Scooter Podcast News. There's an article on the web, on the CNBC webpage by Salvador Rodriguez that's called "Buying an Electric Scooter Was the Best Thing I Did in 2020. Here's Why." It's a good read. Check it out if you have a chance. As we mentioned earlier, Electric Scooter Guide and Alien Rides both released their best of lists, and those are worth watching on YouTube. CNN wrote an article about how the pandemic could start a scooter revolution. They're talking about micro mobility in general and how it could grow to $300 to $500 billion within the next decade. Some of the things they hit on are the obvious. If you ride a scooter, you can avoid traffic. You don't hunt for parking. And then they went on to talk about Milan, Italy. And apparently the city is having a massive promotion of e-scooters. Milan's a cool place. If you ever get a chance to go there after COVID and all this craziness is over, I highly recommend Milan. And while you're up there, you could go to the Moto Guzzi Museum. You have to ride a train to get there. But if you want to see the Vespa Museum, you have to go to Rome. In other news, Zero has teamed up with a company called Reneos for battery recycling in Europe. Public scooting in Chicago is actually way down from 2019, as it turns out. In Miami, they've actually suspended their e-scooter program. So that's about it for ESPN, and that's about it for the podcast. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you come back and listen to future podcasts. This was our baby, our newborn, the very first one. Have a great day, and as always, keep the shiny side up and the dirty side down.